The following is another .5 episode of TMI, where we go back to an older episode, take out the secondary feature, and present it all on its own. We are going back to episode 57, where our main feature was the Netflix Ultraman anime series, and we're taking from that its co-feature. So here, presented on its own, is the classic Iron Giant.
TMI. Confessionals of the Nerd Con. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker.
Our classic feature this week, we didn't announce it last week, is the Iron Giant from 1999. A precursor to Groot, because it has Vin Diesel doing the title character.
And neither one of you gentlemen had seen this movie.
No.
I was blown away by.
Now, Jeff, when did you first see this? Is this a family favorite of yours?
This is a family favorite. As a matter of fact, I tore apart my house trying to look for I must have let my sister borrow it so she could watch it with the kids because I can't find it. And yeah, my wife was all excited that we were going to watch this again, and then we never did. But I've seen this movie so many times I can talk it. Right after it came out on DVD, I remember buying it for a buddy's son. It was his birthday. It was probably like 5 or 6 years old. And rewatching it numerously. I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely beautiful. This is one of Brad Bird's, if not, I think this is his directorial debut. So take us through this, Jim, because I'm curious to see what you guys thought.
Well, let's get into some of the history first. It's got a very storied past, does this movie, and I found it fascinating. It's based on the novel The Iron Man, 1968. By Ted Hughes.
Yep.
Same last name as the.
I was going to say, yeah, Hogarth.
Hogarth Hughes, the kid in this movie.
Yep, Hogarth. Who named your kid Hogarth?
Ted Hughes, I assume, is English. It was released overseas as The Iron Man, but the novel was released here as The Iron Giant. Maybe not to confuse.
They didn't want to confuse it with the Marvel character.
And here's where it gets interesting. In 1994. Pete Townsend of The Who optioned the rights for this.
I had no clue about this. This is very interesting to me.
Yeah, I have the CD.
Yeah, and he made a musical of it called The Iron Man, which was, and a couple of the tracks were played on by the other members of The Who. At the time, John Entwistle and Roger Daltrey. Yeah, Pete Townsend, Mr. Congeniality of rock and roll, the grump himself. He retained producer's credit just because of his involvement of The Iron Man, the musical. And I read a quote of his. They asked him his opinion of it, and he said, "Well, I didn't care. I just got paid." That was.
Oh, really? See, now I don't even want to mention it. I don't even want to bring his name up again.
But no, he did say in a later interview that he very much enjoyed the film. So
of course he did, because he's still getting residual checks.
Of course he is. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie.
But it wasn't a hit upon release.
It was a bomb.
It was a bomb of epic proportions, due largely to the fact that Warner Brothers didn't know what they had in their hands.
Yeah.
Now, they had done, I guess their previous animated film just flopped completely at the box office. So they were expecting this to do the same. They didn't prepare for any kind of merchandising tie-ins whatsoever. Burger King actually, they were ready to go with a Burger King tie-in, but that fell through. And then the early reviews came out, and Warner Brothers figured, we didn't do anything with this, and it's kind of too late now. Released without much promotion.
No.
And it died a death at the box office.
Yeah, I think it opened the same weekend as The Sixth Sense, which probably didn't help either.
No.
And it's a period piece. The whole thing takes place in 1957. Is that a turnoff?
And actually, Warner Brothers early on wanted a sidekick dog character for the kid to make it more palatable. They wanted it set in the present day and not in the 50s.
There you go.
And they wanted a hip-hop soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I can't. It would have been a completely different movie.
It would have been. So what we have here, we have a kid, 9 years old, only child, no father in the picture. He lives with his mother, who's a waitress.
Yeah, you get. I think you get like one sense that the dad was a fighter pilot. There was one little scene, a picture on a mantle.
So we're in 1957, Cold War abounding all around.
Sputnik had just been launched, first satellite in space. So Russian paranoia was at a full-time high.
Atomic paranoia as well, because there's the duck and cover.
The duck and cover, yeah.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
In the beginning of the movie, very much like the opening of John Carpenter's The Thing, you see something hurtling towards Earth, and it is the Iron Giant. And the beauty of it is you never know where he's from. You don't know what purpose he was created for or how he ends up on Earth. You just don't know.
That's so funny because I actually added that into my notes that is one of – I love the fact that you really don't know his true intent. Did he land there on purpose? Did he crash land? Was he part of like an invasion force, like a pre-invasion going to check it? Like, you never know any of that stuff. I guess there was a scene that's on the special edition version that kind of lays that out. But we'll get
really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't see the special edition version. I just saw the.
No, neither have I. I just read about it, but I'm glad that I didn't see it.
So the giant, when he lands, he's got a dent in his head. His purpose really is to be a war machine because he is just a living weapon. He's an embodiment of war. But because of this bump on his head, he kind of forgets what he is, and he's a blank slate. It's like having amnesia. So Hogarth finds him in the woods one night when he's alone in his house because his mother is working late. He goes outside.
He tends to be alone a lot.
Yeah. The giant has eaten his antenna because the giant eats metal. So he follows the giant out to a power station in the woods, and the giant has accidentally wrapped himself up in the cables of the power station and is being shocked. The kid turns off the main on-off switch, which is a complete Looney Tunes Acme on-off switch that he pulls to save the giant. The giant realizes this, and he's now indebted to Hogarth. Yeah. So he essentially becomes Hogarth's pet.
Yeah, it's a metal E.T.
But it's funny, is Brad Bird, I read something where he addresses the comparisons to E.T., and Brad Bird's like, yeah, but E.T. doesn't really kick the Army's ass in that movie, does he?
No, he just eats.
So he's a little defensive, I think, about the E.T. comparison.
But it's a fair comparison. If you want to break it down to the very nuts and bolts of what this movie is. It's a buddy film.
It is.
It's a very heartwarming and it's one of the first real CG main characters. I mean, everything else is hand-drawn animated. He is straight up CG.
And I was confused by that because it is very much a 2D cartoon, but the character of Iron Giant is rendered in CGI.
Yeah, and they went out of their way to kind of down-res him, add some kind of squiggly lines to make him look a little more hand-drawn so he doesn't, just what we just mentioned in Ultraman, which is this jarring styles mashing with each other. So they did a lot of work to try and kind of bring him back to look like the environment and the other characters he was.
Hogarth pretty early on realizes that if anybody else knows about the Iron Giant, that it's going to spell disaster because he knows that the government has no patience for such things, especially with the Sputnik paranoia going on. They're going to assume that he's a Russian agent of some kind.
And they're in the middle of nowhere. He's in like little upstate, like Rockwell, Maine. Yeah.
Roswell. Could there be a connection?
Well, yeah, that's not too much. I got the more Rockwell, the picturesque, Norman Rockwell.
Right.
But yeah, Roswell fits as well.
So Hogarth befriends the beatnik Dean, I think his name is.
Dean, yeah. Voiced by Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, and I didn't know until I'm like, who is that? Who is that?
Yeah, and that's the one thing I will say about this. I've gone on record on this show numerous times that I hate like stunt casting where you get these big name stars to star in an animated movie and they have no right to do a voice. And all I'm going to say is Brad Pitt, I'm talking to you. Every one of these voice actors is spot on in this. Jennifer Aniston, she was hot. She was coming off, Friends was 96 started?
Yeah, so she was, this was still in the midst of Friends. So she was still one of the biggest stars on the planet at that point.
Yeah. Harry Connick Jr., like who would ever think that he would, outside of singing, that he would even be cast in a role like this.
I know, and him playing a beatnik and him being that zip-a-da-doo-dah daddy-o guy anyway.
Yeah, no, and it was it's so perfect. And and even like the secondary characters, the character after E. Emmett Smith, I think he played the one of the guys in the train when the train gets derailed because it hits Iron Giant.
Now he's the drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket, right? Is that the same guy?
Yes. I can't remember the actor's name who plays Mansley, but he's spot on. And Mansley's just
Christopher McDonald. He is a character actor.
Okay.
And let me talk about Mansley for a second, because I read that a lot of the animation was inspired by like Brad Bird, and the team went back and looked at a lot of the animation styles around the time that the movie is set in. So they were looking at Chuck Jones. They were looking at the Disney stuff around the time. 101 Dalmatians was a big influence on this. And Mansley is directly taken from 101 Dalmatians. If you look at the dad in 101 Dalmatians,
with the nose and the whole
chin, it's a ringer for Mansley.
Yep, very cool.
So Mansley is the jerk. He is the heavy of this movie, and he's the government agent that wants to take down the giant, and he's trying to convince the government that the giant exists. As this is going on, about to call him Hogwarts. Hogarth is teaching the giant, because at one point they're really hiding out in the woods, and at one point they see a stag, and the giant goes down to touch the stag. The stag sniffs the giant's finger and runs away, and immediately gets shot by hunters.
Yeah.
And the giant is very confused and upset by this, and Hogarth kind of explains death in a very beautiful way, saying that, death is not a bad thing, killing is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Guns are a bad thing. You are not a gun. And that's a sentiment that is repeated over and over again.
Yeah. I got goosebumps just now. You talking about that.
But yeah, in a kid's movie, it's really heavy-handed stuff. It's trying to explain death, really. And it's something that's not really done. Even in The Lion King, it's just used as a plot device to move Simba forward.
No, and I did not know, but Bird was inspired by the death of his sister, who was shot by her husband. And his pitch for this movie was, what if a gun had a soul and didn't want to be a gun? And that's the premise of The Iron Giant.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it's very sobering, because you're like, yeah, because you're right. It's very heartfelt, this movie. The relationship between Hogarth and the giant it's very emotional. And I will say, the kid who played Hogarth, I don't know what he's done since, Eli Marienthal, sells this, because he is the main character.
Yeah.
You have to see, you're seeing everything through his eyes, the wonder of this giant robot. And at the same time, as adults, you completely understand where Mansley's coming from, which is, we don't know what the hell this thing is. We don't know what it's here for. Kill it. We'll worry about that later. I mean, that's the paranoia of what's going on. So and the story itself is very simple, but the relationships that are established, and especially when he becomes friends with Dean, and then Dean lets the giant hide out, because he's an artist and he works with scrap metal. So the giant can hide out in the scrap metal yard. He can eat all the stuff he wants, and nobody will be the wiser. And there's a great scene where they're playing. Dean's making his art, and the Iron Giant has Hogarth in a beat up car, and he's flying around like an amusement park ride, giving him, and then they start playing Guns and Robbers or whatever, and he wants him to be the bad guy. And that's where all of a sudden you realize that this thing's got more going on behind than we realize. And there's a lot of
giant wants to be Superman. He doesn't want to be.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be. No, Tomo.
Superman, yeah.
Yeah. So
which was funny, because when I got this from the library, and patronize your local library, everybody. We have to say that every week. When I got this from the library, I was looking at the DVD case, and in the back, I was just looking to see what year it was made, how long it is, who's in it, and I was just looking at the credits on the back, and it said Superman, property of Warner Brothers. I'm like, what? Superman's in this? And so, that can't be right. So sure enough, he is heavily referenced.
He's mentioned numerous times. As a matter of fact, because he shows him his Superman collection, his comics, and I guess that's even true. That issue he pulls out is from 1954. And even the robot design. If you go back to those original Max Fleischer Superman cartoons from the 50s, that's kind of like how robots were built and designed, in the way they looked in those 50s sci-fi magazines and Popular Mechanics. Even Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, which was another, that was a much more recent movie, but it was made to look like it was made in the 50s. And that's kind of like that big top heavy robot with the little thin legs. So I don't know. I absolutely love this movie, and I'm assuming you liked it.
Yeah, I did as well. I did as well. I really enjoyed it.
I adored it. There you go. And it's just so many quotable quotes in this movie.
It is, yeah.
It just, welcome to downtown Coolsville. Population us. It just so many nice little moments in this. And like I said, the voice actors really take this to the next level.
The bump on the head of the giant gives him amnesia. So Hogarth is able to instill all these values in him in a very short period of time, that he's not a gun, that he can be whatever he wants to be, that he has a soul, because he is a good thing. So once the army comes in and tries to destroy the giant and levels their tanks and guns at him, something clicks in the giant's head, like a defense mechanism.
Yep.
So then it forgets Hogarth, and it becomes the weapon that it was designed to be. It takes out a few tanks, and Mansley ends up launching a nuclear missile off of a ship, off a battleship.
And then realizes pretty quickly that was stupid. Oh, that's the one thing we didn't talk about, the general, who is voiced by the dad from Frasier.
Yeah, Frasier.
John Mahoney. And he's great. He's like, where's the robot, Mansley? He says, we can't survive this. Duck and cover?
So the robot, the very last minute, realizes Hogarth reminds him of who he really is, and he doesn't have to be what he doesn't want.
Yeah, the theme is you are what you choose to be.
Yeah.
And then that's said numerous times.
Yep. And the missile is trained on the robot, so the robot flies up into the atmosphere to meet the missile so it doesn't come down on the town. And because Hogarth has told him that dying is not a bad thing, that killing is a bad thing, he sacrifices himself to save the town. But it turns out at the end that he doesn't really, because they find a little screw from the robot that they give to Hogarth.
They give it Hogarth. Yeah.
The army gives it to Hogarth because they realize that they've not done the right thing either. So they give the screw to Hogarth, and because the giant's parts are they're all sentient.
As he's in the barn, like his pieces kind of find their way back to him.
The pieces, whenever the Iron Giant comes apart, the pieces reassemble themselves. Yeah. So at one point, at the very end of the movie, Hogarth's screw, that one piece that he has left, starts to move. And he wants to get out the window. It's tapping against Hogarth's window. So he opens it, and the screw is gone. So, and Hogarth knows that it's going back to wherever the giant is, and it turns out that his head is in Iceland. So the pieces are reconvening. So you get a setup for a sequel that sadly never happened.
No, I don't think we need it.
Yeah, according to Brad Bird in 2018, he said there will never be a sequel to The Iron Giant. And yeah,
he also said that he wouldn't make a sequel to Incredibles until he got a good script, and that didn't work out.
Hey, Incredibles wasn't bad.
It's the same movie. They just put the mom in the lead. Come on.
So we got some buckets to give to this one. I would go I'd give it 4.5. I'm not going to quite go 5. I am going to give it 4.5. It is worthy of that.
I'd go 4 plus. 4 plus.
4 plus?
A solid 5 for me. Solid 5. This movie is flawless and perfect, and I'm glad they didn't change any of it. I was talking about that signature series, the DVD. I guess there's a dream sequence that kind of fills in who and what he is, and it depicts his race and the conflict that led him to crash land on Earth. And I'm really happy they did not include that, because really? I do love the idea that you really don't know, and it doesn't matter. That's like E.T. Was he on a science expedition? Was he, a kid that got left behind with his parents? You never know, nor do you care. The fact of the matter is that he came here, and Hogarth fundamentally changed who and what he was.
So did it say in that added scene that he was like the precursor to an invasion, or
no? I didn't read any farther, to be honest with you, because I don't want it to soil.
Yeah.
Again, that's like you said, I love that idea that you don't really know what is in. Did he crash land here, or did he come here on purpose and bump his head when he landed? Did he have a bump before he came here, and that's why he crash landed?
And as we often complain on the show, why does everything have to have a reason? Why does everything have to be tied together? Yeah.
You don't know any more than what the characters know. He's got amnesia. He doesn't know who he is or what he is or what his mission is. I think it's not necessary.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that it's taken us this long to cover this movie. So I'm glad that we did, finally. So there you have it.
So if you think this is like a kid's movie, it's not. There you go. So
this leads us this week to our confessional. Actually, the Iron Giant doesn't, but it's more of an Ultraman themed confessional this week.
Confessionals.
Because we had the option of watching Ultraman either dubbed or subtitled. And the confessional this week, in general, what do you prefer? If you're watching a foreign movie, and if you're given the option, would you rather watch it dubbed into English or subtitled the original audio? So what are our thoughts, gentlemen? Who wants to go?
I think generally I would prefer subtitled. unless it's an animated feature, to Jeff's point, I would rather have that dubbed.
Now, why would you say that? You want to concentrate more on the visuals rather than what reading?
Right, because it takes away from it. Like now I'm reading and now they're moving the animation, and I don't really feel that I'm ever caught up on it.
I see.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I'll use Labyrinth. I will use Pan's Labyrinth as an example, which is I would never, ever in a million years watch that movie dubbed. It's filmed in Spanish, and I appreciate it, and I'll take the time and I'll read what was intended, but I do not want it dubbed. But animated wise, I would absolutely follow Mike.
You see, I kind of did run into that while watching Ultraman, that my attention was being taken by the subtitles, and I had to really look up to concentrate what was going on, because it really comes fast and furious in Ultraman, especially during the fight scenes when they're having dialogue. It takes you away from the fight when you're reading the stuff. But in general, and I don't think if I were to watch this again, which I won't, but I still would watch it subtitled, because I don't want that original intent to be diluted at all. Like, let's bring up The Rain. I think that might have been the only other subtitled film that we've covered so far. Rasmus. Yeah, you don't get Rasmus if you watched it dubbed. You don't get that intent. And often, dubbed actors are really kind of phoning it in. It's really a bad acting job in most cases when you're watching something dubbed.
Some guy out there who's making a living doing voiceovers is cursing you right now.
And
but it's true, especially in this one. They're boring and bland. No differentiation between the characters.
And I read that it was Josh Hutcherson that did the voice for the main character in Ultraman. And what is his name again? Shinjiro from The Hunger Games. So he was the main actor in the dubbed version.
I don't think I knew that.
But I think you're losing a lot of the actor's original fire and intent in the delivery of the lines as well when you're watching a dubbed version. So that's why I like the subtitles. All right, so then next week, Detective Pikachu and the Big Lebowski. So join us. Right.
I'm in. Oh, come on. Okay. All right.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your podcasts on. Also, be sure to email us at tmipodcast2018@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on all of our socials. We're on Instagram, X, Facebook, Threads. Just go to tmiconfessionalspodcast.com. All of our links are there. And leave us a 5-star review. See you at the concession stand.